Hello, this is your teacher. This is strange. I gotta get comfortable. I'm not gonna be comfortable. All right, so I have a few topics that I like to get across to you. I'm trying to look right at the camera. I will try and stay on task. It's not an easy thing for me. I can't ramble. I can't wander around the room. I can't make jokes. Well, I'll make jokes, but all right. So first things first, deliveries. I think I got everybody. Almost everybody responded that didn't show up at least wave at the door, have a parent wave at the door. Thank you for some of the nice things you guys did. That was awesome. I appreciate it. A couple of you still have to get books. I have like 6 or 7 in my car. I think 5 of them need to go out. I just need to get addresses. Connor, I will get yours, obviously. Again, I appreciate it. It was a pretty big undertaking. It was about 6 hours, 2 days in a row, and about 2 hours the last day. So, and my wife's mad at me because she thought it was stupid and I might get sick. And anyway, I thought you needed to happen. I thought you needed something normal in your lives. I'm not sure that Faulkner's normal, but we'll see. Anyway, so school. This is a very strange time. You don't know, I don't know. Right now we can't grade anything. What's going to happen fourth quarter? I don't know. I think I posted earlier today that as long as you do the work, you're going to name fourth quarter. I mean that. This is unprecedented, and it's not really, but at least in the last 100 years, it's unprecedented. We have no reference point for this, and not in this age either. So we're going to do the best we can, right? I just want you to learn. That's all. I want to read a couple of good books, learn as much as you can, try and get you ready for the test. I'm going to do some reviews after break, try and get you ready. That actually brings me quite logically to the next thing, which is the AP test. Should you take it? Well, if you paid for it, you can get your money back. AP's been very clear on this. All you have to do is not take the test, and the school will refund your money because they're not going to charge the school. So if you don't want to take it, you don't have to. Having said that, if I were a high school senior and somebody told me that for $94, I could take a shot at 3 college credits for a 45-minute test, I would do it without hesitation, and I think you should too. That's what I think. The test has been reduced from 3 hours to 45 minutes. It's going to be 1 essay, 1. Does that make it tougher? I don't see how it could be. I don't. I've gone back and forth on what kind of questions they can ask you. We won't actually get told until this Friday, of course, when you're going on spring break. But it'll give me time to plan and then get stuff ready for you. So one of the things I want you to do over break, I'm going to give you a chunk of reading to do, but over 10 days you should be fine, and I'm sure you can do it ahead of time, unless you got a lot going on. My wife keeps telling me people have a lot of stuff going on. I have this, and of course my kids, and trying to teach them, and trying to deal with everything else. Yeah, okay, we all have stuff. What I want to do is set up a lockdown test practice through AP Classroom, which I'll have to set up. And then you go in, I think you have to get some sort of extension on your computer or something. Anyway, the long and short of it is you'll take a 40-minute practice essay that I can then look at and grade, and then I can do like one-on-one chats with you and do feedback. Now, if you're not gonna take the test, obviously you don't have to do this, okay? And this really goes for everything we're doing right now. Like I'm gonna shoot for chats. I got very bold and said like 2 a week, and that's probably absurd. So I think at least this week, especially because we're coming up on spring break, I think we should try and do 1 just for each class. So Thursday, I'm hoping to do like an hour with third and an hour with first. And then Friday, I'm hoping to do an hour with fourth and an hour with sixth. Times to be arranged. We'll figure it out, right? The nice thing is it doesn't have to be within school hours. So we could do a chat at like 7 or 8 at night if that was better for you, although you may be busy. And truthfully, I'll be busy. I'll be putting my kids to bed. But like even like 2, 3 in the afternoon when school would be out and you would be doing other stuff. Now we're not. So we'll try and figure out something that works for everybody, which of course will be a challenge, but we'll try and do it. If you can't make a chat, it's not mandatory, but it gives us a chance to talk about the book. And if you're having struggles with it, it's the best time to ask me questions about it. While you're reading, can you ask questions? Please send me questions. Constantly send me questions. I will be sitting here, and by now you know, if you send me something, I'm usually pretty quick to respond. And I love to talk about books. So anything you have for me, I will answer. Okay, so I think that covered everything. I'm trying to look at my little notes that I made to the side, so I'd sort of be looking at the camera and not at the same time. In terms of the actual chats, a couple of you suggested Zoom, which I know some of the teachers at school have used. We've been warned against it because it's easily hackable. and people have been in the middle of conferences and suddenly had porn show up in the middle of it. I don't really want to have porn show up in the middle of a conversation with you guys. Like, I'm sure I could make a joke out of it. I don't really want to have to even try and make jokes like that. So Google Meeting is close to it, and there's something we can add on to it, and I can send you a link. And then if we all put that on our computers, assuming we all can, then our Google Meetings will be just like Zoom, whatever Zoom is. I don't know, I haven't done it yet. But I did have a Google Meet with the whole school, and it was actually pretty clear and pretty clean. Most of the time it was just the principal talking, which I guess would be kind of like most of the time I'll be talking. I hope not all the time. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Again, most of the stuff is we'll figure it out. And I say that way too much, but I kind of think that's where we are. Okay, more fun things to talk about. In other words, something that is more enjoyable to talk about. That would be William Faulkner. So I'm going to get some of this bio wrong. I have nothing in front of me. It's totally off the cuff. And you have the bio, so you don't actually need me. But I like giving notes, and this is as close as I can come to giving you notes. And I'm not going to do them all. I'm just going to try and give you some salient points about him and about his work. So he's named for, I think, his great-grandfather, and might have been born on his birthday or died on his death day, one of the two. But supposedly his grandfather, this is all apocryphal, in other words, it's all legend. His great-grandfather won most of his fortune in a card game on a bet, but then the grandfather and the father basically blew it all. So Faulkner did not have the rich heritage that he thought he would. Also, the Civil War probably interrupted that. He was from Mississippi, and a lot of that stuff got lost around the Civil War. Anyway, he was already writing poetry and did a ton of reading as a child. Desperately wanted to join the Air Force and fight in the war, World War I, but he was too short. He's a wee little man. And so he cheated, I guess you would say. He went up to Canada, and that's where the Royal Air Force, the British Air Force, was doing their training, and he lied about his age and joined the Royal Air Force and got as far as getting his pilot's license, his ability to fly, but he never did anything in active duty. Well, when he moved back to Mississippi, he brought a set of dress uniform, and he wore it all the time, and he had a limp that he said he got during the war, which is absurd because he never fought in a war. He never flew a single mission, but he had all these stories about missions he flew and battles he was in. He was a BS artist from the word go, which makes sense because he's a writer. He worked in a post office for a while as a postmaster, got fired because he, mail went missing. He was drunk on the job. It wasn't his thing. Spent some time in Europe. Actually went to the same restaurant that Joyce went to, but it was James Joyce, who was like stream of consciousness writer, like Faulkner. Well, different Faulkner was stream of consciousness, and was too afraid to ever talk to him. And he started writing and really struggled with it. And it was Sherwood Anderson, who he became good friends with. There's another American author in the early 20th century who suggested to him that he find a place to write in. In other words, he wanted to have a location to write. And that allowed Faulkner to come up with this county who the name is in your notes. It's Yakanafa Patawana. Anytime I say it, I make fun of it. I can't do it, I'm sorry. But he created that county, and all of his novels are in that county. So there are a lot of recurring characters. The doctor that's in this book shows up in multiple books. There are other characters that you'll see in other books. So it gave him a place to write from. And he sort of felt like he would never run out of space within this county. And it kind of made him the writer that he was. In terms of this book, he wrote his two famous books. Well, a lot of them are famous, but two of his most famous books, which are As I Lay Dying and Sound of the Fury, that Reed teaches because she's crazy, because it's much tougher than this one. And this one's not easy. Both in about a 2-year span. He claimed to have written As I Lay Dying in 6 weeks, and that he never changed a word, which obviously is nonsense, but you already know he's a BS artist, so it's not a shocker. Having said that, it was written pretty quickly, and it was written brilliantly. It's great. What else do I need to say about his life? Oh, he wound up becoming a screenwriter later in his life and did some stuff in Hollywood. In my film class we even watched, I think Laura he co-screen wrote. Anyway, so he did a lot of stuff. He flew a plane, and then his brother crashed it and died. He wound up adopting his niece, and anyway, drama. And then late in his life, he had a couple of falls off horses that we think might have been strokes. His writing. So stream of consciousness is really Interesting. Sorry, I'm gonna take a sip. It's basically the mind on paper. So what you're gonna see, each of the chapters is a character's name, and it's that character's mind on paper. And sometimes it's present, sometimes it's memory, sometimes it's dreams about the future, and it jumps back and forth. Sometimes he's consistent, sometimes you use italics, or italices? No, italics, to either change time or change place or change both. It's hard to keep up with. Usually gives you little clues. Faulkner's like some surrealist mystery writer. I wrote this in the notes I gave you about this assignment, and anything I give you, put in quotes. It can't be for a grade. Do I want you to fill stuff in? I think it'll help you to understand it. And if we suddenly go back to school, you need to be ready. Remind me, which you can't. I'm going to try and remember to talk about a Hamlet at the end, because I know you guys are, and outside reading, both. Anyway, this book has, I think, 19 different narrators, 15 different narrators. And there's like 59 chapters, so it's a lot. And like I said, it helps to talk to somebody about it. So please don't hesitate to drop me a line. And if we can get on and chat about it somewhere, we'll find a place. Like I know an easy place to chat about stuff. I have a Line app, it's just called Line, which, you know, I could totally create a new group and we could chat there, although that's for like 3 or 4 people, not for 25 or 30. But if you're really stuck or you're confused about something, whatever, even if it's just, listen, if you guys are struggling right now, don't hesitate, send me a line, send me a message. You know, it's hard. It's hard to be home with your family all the time. I wonder how many families are struggling. Sorry, we're still talking about Faulkner. Drifting, stay focused. Anyway, Faulkner's going to do a lot with psychology, the minds of characters. You have to sort of look carefully at the things they say, but don't take them at face value. Truth is very fluid in Faulkner, so you're going to hear 2 stories, the same stories, but they're told from different perspectives, and they become completely different stories, and you're left wondering which one is true. Usually you know this from hearing 2 stories from your friends, right? Usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's often the case with Faulkner, but I'll give you an example. In the first reading you have, there's a character named Cora who sees things a very particular way. She's very religious, but there's a certain hypocrisy in some of the things she says. So don't always immediately assume that she's right, which is probably true of every character in the book, I would imagine. What else? First 28 pages, you're going to meet some of the characters. Jewel has 1 chapter in the entire book, and it's in this first 28 pages. And he's a fascinating character. In many ways, he's the main character, sort of, but not really. Anyway, we'll get there. Oh, Hamlet. Yeah, I know, we were going to do a Hamlet test. We had reading journals. I had quizzes to give back. We had stuff. What are we going to do with all that? I don't know. If we get back to school, I'll grade it all. And I'll put it in the book. So hold on to it, right? If you haven't done the reading journals, should you do them? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Not until I knew we were going back, and then I'd scramble to do them. I would at least have annotated out the book. My assumption is you probably have it mostly annotated. It may be bold, but that would be my assumption by now. Your outside reading. I think what I'm going to have to do for the outside readings, I'm going to have to find a way to do one-on-ones, whether it's chats or whether it's just like an online chat where we're just typing messages back and forth and I ask you questions and you don't have time to look them up. You just have to answer them right on the spot. Something like that, because you should get credit for those books, right? And my guess is most of you by now have had time to read, even if you didn't read before. Suddenly you have a lot of time. Do you have to have it done by the 3rd? No, because there's no way I could do all the book tests by then that need to be done. So maybe by the time we get done with spring break, if you want to do it over spring break, it's not like I'm going anywhere. It's not like you're going anywhere, are you? I can't imagine you are. So we should have time. Do we have to stop and not talk for 10 days when spring break comes? No. I mean, I think some of you won't, and that's fine. You want to go relax, be with your family, that's great. But if you want to keep reading, you want to keep chatting, you want to do your outside novel, anything like that, I will be as available as I can be. I promise. I will. I'm going to be here. Okay? I think that's it for now. Hopefully this isn't too weird. This is weird for me. I need a class to bounce off of. I have no one I have no audience. How do you do stuff? I can't do my stuff. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I'm here. You be there. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, you guys.